Hello, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Live. Man, John, it has been a while since we did this, so I fired up some music.
Oh,
We're getting back into it here. I always felt that when I ran my after-school enrichment business, that the day, July 5th was the end of the summer. And I had basically a week and a half to kind of get back into the groove until the schools came back and it was kind of time to roll back into it. But you and I have kind of been off over the last 6 weeks. I think most people who are members of our community know that my father passed away a month and a day ago. You and I have obviously spoken at length about that. And so
tough.
has,
Man.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start on that, except that taking it day by day. Our family moved, and you have been living your life, and that's a lot. And then I catch you eating string cheese.
Yes, I was eating string cheese and I'm drinking Gatorade. I'm trying to stay in shape, trying to eat healthy, trying to watch the sugar, although the Gatorade and the Red Bulls don't do that. But yeah, it was great to see you in DC. My sister moved into the city and kind of share some fellowship over the 4th and hang with your wife and Camila. It was awesome. So that's been great, on top of the not so great with the tragic loss of your father. It's so tough, man, so tough. And I've been thinking about you and praying for you and praying for your family. And I just can't believe it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get back on the horse. Yesterday was 1 month, as you know, you and I talked about it. And some days are easier than others. So we're going to have a great show today. I'm obviously in a new location that you have been to. Uncle John came by for July 4th and gave Camila, our daughter, a Penn shirt and a Penn water bottle that she proceeded to drink out of and wear that shirt for basically the next week. So you hit it out of the park. Totally
sending her subliminal messages on where Camila is going to go to school.
They are working. They are working very well. So today we're here for our breaking the grade, and then next week we'll be at ERDI. So before we get into our topic here, which is really talking about consistency and trust in EdTech sales, and really talking about the use of LinkedIn, let's talk a little bit about where we'll be, which is ERDI. So can you kind of set the stage? I know we've done this before, but can you reset the stage for what ERDI is and why we go?
Yeah, it's the Education Research and Development Institute. About 75 nationwide thought-leading superintendents, chief academic officers congregate and convene to talk about the latest issues in K-12 education. Solution providers come in and provide a 90-minute to 2-hour panel discussion on their solution and ask questions about the market and pricing and positioning of the product and how they can co-create or co-construct their solution through the eyes of what works for the K-12 education space. A lot of fellowship, a lot of community building, a lot of opportunities to learn, a lot of opportunities to engage with mentors and advisors. And I've been involved with the ERDI family, as I call them, for the last 25 years. So twice a year, a winter and a summer institute. This past winter, it was in Palm Springs. We were there right around Super Bowl weekend. Great, Philadelphia Eagles. And then this summer is in Baltimore at the Four Seasons on the harbor. So it'll be exciting to see a lot of friendly faces and to connect on some of the seminal issues that we're facing in K-12 education.
Totally cool. Well, we've got another JG, John Greiner. John has been a member of
John.
the EdTech Elevation Experience community. You're going to love this guy because he picked up and moved from the south of the United States to Naples.
Wow.
And not Naples, Florida.
Naples, Italy.
Naples, Italy.
Wow, that's big. My parents or my dad's from Avellino, just outside of Naples, Italy. So I'm excited to get back there and teach in October and maybe get down and check out some roots and maybe connect with some family members down there.
Cool.
So, John,
cool.
we got to compare notes.
You guys will. So today what we're talking about here is basically this is a wake-up call in the middle of the summer. While we do want people to rest and we do want people to recharge, we also need people to think about the fact that trust building and real traction happens on LinkedIn, but you cannot treat LinkedIn like a megaphone. One of our clients, Anissa, who was the founder of Lingo Circle, she was on our LinkedIn Live very recently. She basically turned her post into real leads, into meaningful pilots. And she is growing her pipeline, not with a funnel and not with this viral strategy. She's doing it with clear messaging. She's doing it with follow-ups, and she's doing it with trust first. You and I have gone back and forth over tequila, over these airwaves, talking about LinkedIn and my strategy on LinkedIn, which is very similar to Anissa's strategy and the rest of the members of the 3E community. What do you think about leveraging LinkedIn for education, EdTech sales, and what's your strategy? Two-parter.
So I've always been relationships first, building and leveraging relationships, centers of excellence with those relationships. So focusing in one specific area and region, dominating there with the relationships built, the good business relationships built, and then expand from there. And you and the Ed Sales Elevation experience have kind of morphed my thinking on this in terms of using LinkedIn and as another strategic weapon on top of or in addition to the relationship sales strategies. So credit to you. Anybody who has not heard Josh Chernikoff speak about this, and he will be speaking twice at ERDI. I think he'll be potentially at IEI, some of the other institutes, and was a sponsor of our innovation summit, just really giving the basics as to how to develop a presence on LinkedIn through consistency, building trust that leads to measurable results. So I'm a believer. And we'll get into some specifics on that, as we continue to talk, because I've got some thoughts and ideas.
Cool. I will actually be talking on Monday at ERDI about LinkedIn and how it can be leveraged. One of the things that I have seen is that confidence comes from action and not before it. And what I mean by that is you can't wait to be ready to post. You build your confidence by showing up consistently. That's in LinkedIn, and we can relate that to sports as well, and probably in anything that we do. You just got to show up consistently, and you will learn how to do what you have to do. And I found that to be true in LinkedIn. Catherine, who's a mutual friend of ours, found that to be true in LinkedIn as well. And she has had her company get funded very recently. So it does work. When we are consistently showing up, and I do it in two ways on LinkedIn. One of them is almost this like white noise approach where we set it and forget our strategy in the beginning of the month of what we're going to post on LinkedIn, because it's, it obviously correlates with what we do on our shows. And that's I'm hoping that people are seeing that. I'm hoping that people are understanding what I stand for, who I stand with, who comments. And then there's also the things that I notice on a day-to-day basis that only I can write. And that might be a story about taking time over the summer to rest and recharge. That might be a story about my father, which I wrote a couple weeks ago, which was about some of the things that, I was able to relate what he taught me in terms of growing up and not down and how that relates to business. Those are only stories that I can write. Those are only pictures that I have. One of them's from vacation, one of them's from my father. So that's us showing up 5 days a week on LinkedIn. And I always want people to understand that LinkedIn is not necessarily a connection to contract. And in most cases, it's not. It's connection to commenting, to collaborating on a piece, maybe, to getting together, to potentially getting to a contract. How much of your time, John, do you spend each week on LinkedIn?
I do a lot of searching, and I do a lot of, to try to look at the backgrounds and the experience sets of people that I'm recruiting, people that I'm about to meet with in my entrepreneur in residence hours. I use it a lot. I use it to promote my entrepreneur breakthroughs, which are done on a monthly basis. I do it to thank our sponsors and recognize the Herculean effort of our team when we put on events like the June 6th Innovation Summit, which we put on. So I'm on it pretty regularly,
Okay.
but also judiciously.
Everything in moderation. And then when you go and research a particular person, do you just look at the top of their profile? Do you kind of dig into their posts? Like, what are you looking for when you're researching somebody?
Holistically, I look who they are, what is their current role, how long have they been there. I'm leery of jumpers, people who are in and out 3 months, 5 months. How they represent and convey what they do and how they do it. I'm an education snob, so I tend to look at education and certifications. And I love looking at featured and all posts and just see how they're representing themselves.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not an education snob, and I always think of LinkedIn. I tell people when we talk about credibility and we talk about it in the context of LinkedIn, this isn't about where you went to school. This isn't about the awards that you've won. This is about what you stand for and who you stand with and who stands with you.
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there on a post or commenting on a post or somebody commenting on your post is, gives people an opportunity to see what you are all about. And I always think of LinkedIn as like a conference. It's like a big conference that's going on all the time. And you can either stand in the corner, and I've been there, done that at conferences, or you can lead conversations or you can join conversations. But that leads me to one of the takeaways that I want people to really take in, which is this idea that engagement is a two-way street. What I mean by that is if LinkedIn and building your credibility and hoping to eventually get leads and maybe close contracts from LinkedIn, if that is overwhelming to you because you think I got to write posts and I got to show up every single day and I got to say the most brilliant things, you don't. One way to start is just by spending a few weeks, give yourself 15 minutes a day and just go comment. Just find John Gamba and see what John has posted about. Just go out there and you find a district leader and see what they've posted about and go in there and comment. And it should not be a way to go or an awesome. It should be thoughtful. It should contribute to the conversation. I see, because of the algorithm, when John posts, it generally goes to the top of my profile. So I do see that you spend a decent amount of time, and it's super helpful, I'm sure, when you go in there and you comment and you give kudos to somebody. So what's your strategy in terms of commenting? Who do you comment on? Why do you comment? Do you have a strategy behind it?
No, I don't have a strategy per se. I do sometimes, because of how busy I am, sometimes I throw out the fantastic or love it's just so that people know that I saw it, I see you. And then other times I do spend a little bit of time on personalizing the comment or personalizing the outreach a bit, because, anything that's worth doing, it's worth doing right and worth doing with intention. So I could probably spend a little bit more time in there. But again, I think judicious is the word in terms of what I'm posting and how I'm commenting.
Right. We're going to start to talk about metrics here. There is no scale for this, but I would imagine that a fantastic or a way to go from John Gamba on something you're doing is a nice bump for somebody who's trying to make their way in the EdTech space. So I think, not that you're asking my opinion, but for you, when you do that for others, it's really helpful. For the EdTech founder that is trying to make their way into a district, if you're deciding between sending another email or commenting on a post from a superintendent who you're really trying to get to know, I would go with a nice, well thought out comment. That will
I would agree.
go a lot further, and it will feel a lot better than just knocking on the door with another email. There is not a reason to truly focus on metrics, I believe, when it comes to LinkedIn. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said, well, I got all these followers and blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what? I honestly do not know how many followers I have or how many people I'm following or any of that crap. What I do know is the signals that I get from people on LinkedIn are very valuable. And when I get those signals, I follow them. So it's really important to forget the likes. Forget the likes. But it's really important to really measure and go deep on the comments that you get, on the introductions that you might be able to get through LinkedIn. Those are nice, warm introductions when somebody might tag you in, or you might be able to tag somebody else in thoughtfully. That is what will move sales forward. That being said, I think that there is a correct and an incorrect way of tagging people in. I am not a fan of when people just at the bottom of a post put your name and my name and a million other names. I think it's cheap. I would much rather that person just put one name or two names and really give you a softball and say, John, what do you think about this? Or Josh, what do you think about that? What's your feeling when somebody just tags you into something?
I don't know if I would use the term cheap, but I would use the term similar. The reason why I don't want to just lean in on cheap is because I have a lot of people, very close associates and colleagues who do that, and that's their tactic. I don't do it, so that should be enough said in terms of my views. Others might argue that whatever it takes to build an audience by tagging in everyone, maybe that's a strategy. I would say this. I was really thinking about being prepared for today's talk and what else besides violently agreeing with consistency and trust creates a model of excellence or a post that will lead to results. And as I was thinking about that, I thought of people should check her out. A colleague of ours, Josh, Sophie Smith from College Contact. She's a Milken semifinalist. She's going to be in at ERDI. And she recently did a post that I think is an absolute model. And the two words that I think of when I share this, you can go, connect with Sophie and look at about her third or fourth down post. And I would say authenticity and humility are also two important core values to effective posts in this day and age. How sick am I on Facebook, LinkedIn, when the post is just self-aggrandizing, if that's the word, self-promoting, and my kids are great, and my kid just graduated, or I just did this, or I just got that award. There's a place for that, but authenticity and humility together, I think, is a real interesting model of excellence. And recently, Sophie Smith wrote a post. It was really, really effective. It got results. And she said, anyone open for a coffee chat? I am looking for people who are in the higher ed space who understand admissions, enrollment, cost per admissions, and one other thing. Don't think I need help? ? This is me at the University of Texas in a red and white outfit just before the University of Oklahoma game with a question mark, with her co-founder staring at her with her arms folded like, what are you doing in a red and white outfit in the middle of the University of Texas with the biggest rival in the sport? She got over 100 likes and I think something like 55 comments with ats. Talk to her, talk to him, talk to him. And it was a big win for her. What did she do? She asked the question, a very specific question, and then she humbled herself. Don't think I need help? Help me. And it was hilarious. And yeah, there were some of the comments that were just, me saying to her, don't show Emma Steele this, my niece who goes to the University of Texas. But others were really, really profound in terms of, you need to talk to her. We got you. We're going to support you. So, the authenticity, the humility, the creativity of a post also could go a long way instead of just flopping something up there.
Totally agree. I saw the post. I saw your comment. I think the part about Sophie that is so important in that post is that that's not her 5.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So that's where I think maybe we create the acronym CATH, right? Consistency, authenticity, trust, and humility coming together could lead to effective posts and desired results.
That's great.
And yeah,
we're going to throw that in.
It also shows that she's okay with self-deprecation. She's okay that I'm not, while I am a co-founder of a company that's doing very well, and I'm a multi-winner of pitch competitions, I need help. I'm humbling myself, and that is pretty cool, I think.
No, totally. Agree with everything you say. And I just think about some of the folks that I've worked with who say, I wrote this long post and nobody comments. I'm like, well, probably nobody saw it. But Sophie's got street cred. It was a good post. And the algorithm likes her, because she's consistent.
But she's earned the algorithm liking her. It's not luck.
100%. Yeah, no, totally. So we have got some people who are commenting here, and I think it's important that we go back here and look at the other JG here. John Greiner here. Does it work any better if you comment perhaps for a couple of weeks or months and then ask for the connection? That is an amazing approach. I am all in on that. That's great, great, great. John, you should definitely do that. And the fact that I love you saying that is because, you know, you're really soaking in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience kind of model and method there. So that is great. Then we've got Austin Levinson. Austin said, what about if you post a follow-up to a previous post and you tag those who commented and reacted to the first post? This could be a group of 20 or 30. John, I'll let you take that one.
I'm trying to get through that. Remember, I'm dyslexic, so I could be reversing some of this logic. Post it.
That's why I gave it
Post
to you.
a follow-up to a previous post, and you tag those who commented and reacted to the first post. This could be a group of 20. I got lost on the 20 to 30, but posting a follow-up to a previous post. Yeah, I'm all about that. I think that's all part of the algorithm and all part of the building that all-important community. But again, judicious and everything in moderation and being really, really careful not to blow it by just saying, you know, I'm going to tag Deborah Quazzo here. You know, if you don't know her and you're not sure if you're able to make that connection, I mean, I'm all for taking big swings, but I think it should be, you know, a bit more personal than that.
Yeah, but that's taking a swing, and it's that swing that we see people take at the plate in Major League Baseball where they fall over themselves. It's not worth it swinging that hard, especially if you one day get a chance to meet Deborah. I have not. I've never tagged her in, and I know I'm sure you have. And she said, "Why'd you tag me into that post?" Because then she's locked in on that post. And if other people are commenting, she's like, "I don't even know this person."
Yeah.
You know? So let's see. Jesse here. Interesting on cheap. Okay. I used the word. I didn't know I was going to kind of push a few buttons here. So that's good. I love seeing people ping for other people that are thinking about the same problems and opportunities. So, okay. Jesse, fair point. Let me clarify then. I think it's cheap if you're just kind of trying to tread on somebody's cred. But if I'm writing something, and I know John pretty well, and I believe that he would find this interesting, yes, occasionally I might tag John in, or Catherine, or Austin, or people that I regularly talk with on LinkedIn. So hopefully that softens the cheap comment. I don't want to piss too many people off.
Well, no, I love Jesse's comment. Let's really lean in on in terms of what she's saying, and let's talk about let's talk about the distinguishing factors of what we're saying, Josh. And I hope that you and I are in violent agreement again on this one. So Rita Ferrandino, okay, she's a colleague of mine, a friend of ours, and kind of very active in social media, and she will say the speakers at the Penn Innovation Group were so fantastic. They talked about the challenges and the principles of innovation, and we really got a lot out of that. And she'll tag everybody who spoke.
Cool.
I'm cool with that. But somebody who says we're in a mental health crisis and we need to invest more in mental health services or bridges to mental health providers, and my company does this, and then at the end of that, tagging 47 people without having any personal knowledge or any personal relationship with them, hoping that they'll see that post, and by dragging them in, that will somehow hook them. I think that's cheap. I think that's what you meant by cheap. But maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not sure. And by the way, I could be wrong in terms of best practices. And if Jesse thinks that that's an appropriate way, I would just disagree and disagree respectfully.
I think if you scroll down in the comments, Jesse says fair enough. So I think she's on board. And here's the thing, it's kind of, a lot of times people will say, well, should I do this or I should do that on LinkedIn? Just kind of got to do what feels right. And when you follow that, you're generally going to end up in the right place. I love what Aaron said here. LinkedIn is filled with AI slop. What if education ... or imagine, I think he meant imagine if education did ... Sophie's post sounds like it comes from a human being. Not only does it come from a human being, it comes from a badass, credible human being. And when a badass, credible human being puts out a great post, that's what happens. That is not AI slop.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like the AI slop.
Yeah, I mean, AI slop is getting really tricky, right? Because AI is getting so good at knowing what is AI slop. 6 months ago, I would be able to say, AI slop. And I would guarantee that there's less of that happening now because AI is so good.
Jesse, or John, just so you know, Jesse said, great distinction on the difference. I totally agree. I agree totally. So you're in there. Okay, I'm gonna.
By the way, I'll also go back. This is like viewpoint diversity too, where we find common ground. I'll also say that if a post is really good and somebody just drops in 40 ats, I too sometimes will go through the ats and say, who are they pointing to? So while I think generally that might be a little cheap, I also see that can also be effective depending on how good the post was. That's another, lever, right? That where we kind of go up and down. If it's just clearly a self-promotion and let's throw 40 people up there, that's annoying and cheap.
Okay, I'm going to go with a little bit of humility here. I'm going to be vulnerable on two things. First of all, the ats. When I see a good post with a lot of ats, I go person by person by person, and I send a thoughtful connection request saying, I saw what you said on that particular post, because generally they've commented, and it's great to be connected. So there is a gold mine in that post. Assuming those people have commented, then they have signaled to you, the writer, that their game to be tagged into the post. Now, I want to take it back to AI. I use a tool. It's called engage.ai. Happy to send people referral code. It's not going to build my house in Mexico, but it might put a brick in on the house in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And engage.ai helps me to comment. And it's an interesting tool where it lives in my LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn. And if there is a particular post that I want to comment on, I have created some personas within engage.ai, and it will help me write my comment. And that takes the weight of the LinkedIn world off my shoulders to sit there and think about exactly what I want to say, because I've trained engage.ai to think like me, to comment like me, and it helps me to get me 75% of the way there.
Sounds like a good that sounds like a good use of AI, effective or appropriate use of AI. I would just say be careful. Just to be open, direct, and honest with you, I've seen some of your posts where I know it was written by AI, and it annoys me because I like vulnerable Josh. I like real Josh. I don't like AI Josh.
Which ones?
We could sit down line by line, and I'll show you.
Fine, we will.
Fine.
On Monday.
No, I really mean that. And I also mean that 6 months ago, I guarantee 6 months ago, if 5 of your posts were AI powered and 5 of them were authentic, real, not AI powered at all, I'd be able to pick out 5 and 5. Now, if you went 5 and 5, it'd be hard. So that's how good AI is getting.
Fair
And
enough.
on that, by the way, I want to be clear. I'm for AI if you're checking grammar and you're thinking about better word choices and you're being more pithy and succinct. I'm not, again, into AI if it becomes more robotic, if it becomes more pedantic, if it becomes perfect. Not interested in perfect, Josh. I'm interested in Sophie, who's saying, I'm a shithead for going to the Texas with my red, and I need help. I'm ready to help you.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable. I'm a little bit caught up on some of the P words that you used there. But I'll catch back up, you know. I need my AI to tell me what to say, you know. It's ingesting everything right now, and then it will
Are
it
you
will bring
challenging
back
my
out
use of pithy
and pedantic.
and pedantic?
Yeah, not challenging your use, just getting comfortable with your use of it, and I'll have to use those words this coming
I wasn't
week
trying to
at
be
ERD.
pejorative.
And you're sitting at Penn.
I am.
That's about the biggest P word I know.
Dangerously using P words.
Yeah, exactly. Where stay away. I want to give some action items for people on LinkedIn. I want to point out one thing is that we're here talking about LinkedIn. It is only one part of what you should be doing, obviously, when it comes to generating leads, building credibility, testing messaging. It's a great sandbox, to use one of the terms that I've learned from my wife who works at Deloitte, to kind of test things out. They use that word all the time, but it's not the only place. So LinkedIn is just one part of what we do. Back to LinkedIn. One thing you can do, audit your last 3 LinkedIn posts. Are they working? What's resonating? Alex Hormozy, who's great to listen to, got a great podcast. And Alex talks about the fact that messaging is like an accordion. You should start big, start wide, and then you go down and you figure out what works. And then you do what works and you focus on that. And then you go back out wide and then you go back in. So audit your last 3 LinkedIn posts. Do not use, or let's just say replace, your just checking in message with a relevant insight or an update or a comment. That's a great way to get back in touch with people. And my last thing that I wrote, just to show how much we are aligned, even though sometimes we are less aligned, but that's okay, is post something imperfect this week. Something you've been overthinking. Hit publish, learn from the feedback.
Yeah, by the way,
Preposterous podcast partners.
I think we're getting crazy with these P words. I think that's really, those 3 action items, I think were really good. And I think that I think you should repeat that again quickly. The 3.
Audit your last 3 LinkedIn posts. Replace your just checking in message with a follow-up of value. And post.
So what that triggered me. Quality over quantity on number 2.
Talk more.
Just instead of just robotically saying, I got to get more out there and hope that I hook, really thinking about the response and what you're saying to get the hook.
Okay. And then post something imperfect this week. And I think we could take this one a step further. We were talking about something you've been overthinking. Yes, hit publish, another P. But the imperfection could also be something that, you know, theoretically a mistake you made, which was wearing the wrong thing to the wrong sporting event. something that, you kind of show a little vulnerability.
Could be powerful and productive.
We've done this with C words
Oh,
before,
gosh.
and now we're doing P words. And those are two of the most dangerous
That's
words
right.
to do this
That's
with, C
right.
and P.
You know,
Before
the audience responses here are fantastic. And I was just thinking, the ultimate with breaking the grade, with Ed Sales Elevation, with Penn GSE and our Entrepreneur in Residence hours, and the audience that's being built here. You know what would be great?
Yeah.
41 minutes into this, it would be classic, and it's going to happen soon. Is somebody in our audience runs out into LinkedIn, says that Josh and John are talking about you, Sophie. Sophie pops in and says, let me tell you about what I got out of that vulnerable, authentic, humble pie post that I did. I actually got the superintendent from San Antonio through that model. Right. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be amazing. And, I can do things like this. Watch. Right? I know how to do that. I also know how to bring Sophie in. We could give her a link if Sophie were to have joined us. We should have her on someday. And I can bring her on to this conversation. So I'm not just a one-trick pony here. I mean, I got some good music, So, by the way, we can make that happen. But I can tell you that this has been a great show. Jesse, Austin, John, Aaron, everybody who's been commenting and joining, really appreciate it. Last comment, because I missed this one from Aaron. The HubSpot model has worked for me. Give away free value, whether that value is inspiration or implementable. Geez, guys. Or implementable knowledge, and be self-deprecating and humble throughout. Mr. Penn grad, can you please tell me what implementable means? Implementable.
Yeah. Can it be implemented?
That could be. I'm gonna say that could be, because I spent the majority of the last 4 years in Mexico. So my English is, I'm just reading words a little differently.
Implementable. Gosh, I'm wondering when my dean's going to walk in and say, "What are you talking about?"
Dean's going to walk in and say, "You're fired."
No, if I'm not careful. Stop with the C words and P words, man. Yes, implementable.
She's going to push you out.
I'm with Aaron on that, by the way, in terms of the hub.
Darn it. All right, Aaron, thanks a lot for that. I'm never going to live that one down. So guys, I was wondering how it would feel to kind of come back on this show after some of the stuff that's gone on, but it feels really good to be back with this group. Obviously, John, you and I, are consistently communicating, but this is a whole different place when we're in front of other people. So again, John, Jesse, Austin, Aaron, everybody who commented, really appreciate it. It's been fun being back here after some time off. And next week, I will be live at ERDI in Baltimore. And if I can grab the great John Gamba, because he's around, I will. Otherwise, I'll be flying solo. And Jesse, you are working on your imperfect post.
Yeah.
And that's great. Yes. Add a picture of you from many years ago, or, something unique. And when you post that next imperfect post, you have my permission to tag me in.
Me too.
I would.
Tag.
Okay.
Hashtag.
It feels like America's Got Talent. You got two. What do they do? Likes or yeses? Jesse, you got 2 yeses.
All right.
So thank you guys. Austin, hope you're well.
Connected with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you.
And just tag John into everything. That he loves it.
Talk soon.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.